There is a person you will meet many times in your life. You will feel their influence in your most confusing moments of self-sabotage, in your strangely intense reactions to other people, and in the anxieties that whisper to you in the middle of the night. This person is not a stranger, a rival, or an enemy you can see. They are far more intimate and therefore far more powerful. And according to the psychologist Carl Jung, they are the most dangerous person you will ever have to face. To understand who this person is, first we must understand our own inner world. Imagine that your conscious self, the person you know as you, is a small, well-lit island on a vast and silent ocean. This island is everything you accept about yourself, your skills, your personality, your memories, your values. It is orderly, familiar, and safe. You have spent your entire life cultivating this little piece of land, making it comfortable and predictable. It is the kingdom of your ego. You carry a map of this inner world with you at all times. It is your map of me. It shows every corner of your little island in perfect detail. But if you look closely at this map, you will notice something unsettling. Beyond the shores of your known island, the map is almost entirely blank. The vast ocean of your unconscious mind is uncharted territory. It is a great unknown that surrounds the tiny, known world you inhabit every single day. This blankness is not empty. In the language of old cartographers, these unknown regions were often marked with a warning, a simple, ominous phrase, "Here be dragons." This was a declaration of fear. It was an admission that beyond the known world, there exist forces and creatures that are powerful, unpredictable, and potentially monstrous. Your own inner map has this same warning, even if it is not written in words. It is a feeling, a deep-seated fear of what lies in the darkness within you. Sometimes, you feel the presence of this uncharted territory. It happens when you have an explosive emotional reaction that feels out of character. It happens when you find yourself repeating the same mistake, as if some invisible force is steering your ship. It is in these moments that you feel a tremor from across the water, a ripple from that unknown continent. It is a sign that something powerful lives within you, just outside the borders of your awareness. The most dangerous person you will ever meet is the inhabitant of that unknown land. It is not a literal person, of course. It is what Carl Jung called the shadow. The shadow is the sum of every part of yourself that you have disowned, repressed, and refused to acknowledge. It is every secret you keep from yourself, every unacceptable impulse, every creative talent you were told was foolish, and every negative emotion you have pushed down into the darkness. This shadow self is not evil by nature. It is simply unlit. Imagine you stuffed all your anger, your fear, your wild creativity, and your raw ambition into a dark basement and locked the door. Those parts of you wouldn't just disappear. They would fester. They would get twisted. They would bang on the door at inconvenient times. They would become a dangerous person living in your house, simply because they have been starved of light and recognition. We live in a world that encourages us to present a perfect, polished version of ourselves. We are taught to be good, to be positive, to be in control. This forces us to cut off huge parts of who we are and banish them to the shadow. We create a persona, a mask that is acceptable to society, to our families, and to ourselves. But the more perfect the mask, the larger and darker the shadow it casts behind us. The real danger arises from our ignorance. Because you are unaware of your own shadow, you do not see it in yourself. Instead, you see it everywhere else. You project it onto other people. That person at work who infuriates you for no clear reason. That social issue that triggers a disproportionate rage in you. Often, these are just mirrors. You are seeing your own exiled traits reflected back at you, and you hate what you see without realizing you are looking at yourself. So the central question is not how we can defeat this dangerous person. It is not about winning a war against our own darkness. That is a battle that can never be won, only perpetuated. The real question, the one that leads to true growth and wholeness, is this: how do we turn to face our own shadow? How do we begin the brave work of exploring the most feared and rejected parts of our own map? Our first instinct when faced with this inner unknown is to retreat. It is the common trap. We decide the world outside our little island is simply too scary, too chaotic. The whispers from the darkness are too unsettling. So we do what seems logical. We try to make our island more secure. We resolve to be better, to be more disciplined, to have more control over our lives and our thoughts. This is the strategy of avoidance. We double down on our persona. We polish our mask. We might get a new planner, start a new diet, or adopt a rigid new philosophy. We are trying to build higher walls to keep the bad parts out. We are trying to make the light on our island so bright that it completely banishes the surrounding darkness. But this only serves to make the contrast sharper and the darkness outside feel even more threatening. We tell ourselves stories to justify this isolation. We say, "I am not an angry person," and we banish our anger to the shadow. We say, "I am not ambitious," and we exile our drive. We say, "I am not weak," and we hide our vulnerability. Each of these statements is another brick in the wall. We think we are creating safety, but we are actually building a prison for ourselves, cutting ourselves off from the vast resources of our total being. The dangerous person, our shadow, loves this strategy. When it is ignored, it doesn't go away. It simply finds other ways to get our attention. It will trip you up from behind. It will hijack your emotions when you are tired or stressed. It will whisper insecurities that sabotage your most important relationships. By refusing to look at it, you give it control. It becomes an invisible puppeteer, and you are the puppet, wondering why you keep dancing in ways you did not choose. This is why positive thinking alone can be so hollow. When it is used as a tool to deny the existence of the shadow, it is like painting the walls of a house that has a cracked foundation. It looks good for a little while, but you are not addressing the real problem. You are simply papering over the darkness. True positivity is not the absence of negativity. It is the courage to look at the whole picture, light and dark, and not flinch. We also see this trap in our collective behavior. We create outgroups. We find a group of people to serve as the screen for our collective shadow projection. We label them as the problem, as evil or wrong. This allows us to feel righteous and clean because we have successfully outsourced our own darkness. But this is the most dangerous game of all. It is the root of prejudice, conflict, and war. It is the refusal to see the dragon in our own land. The tragic irony is that the harder you fight to maintain the illusion of your small, perfect island, the more fragile you become. Your world is so small, so rigid, that any unexpected event can shatter it. A single wave from the unconscious ocean can flood your entire kingdom. The person who denies their own capacity for anger is the one most likely to be consumed by a sudden, terrifying rage. The person who denies their own vulnerability is the one who breaks most completely. So you are left in a state of constant, low-grade anxiety. You are a warden in your own prison, always on guard, always vigilant against a part of yourself. This is an exhausting way to live. It depletes your energy. It limits your joy. You are using all your strength to maintain your borders, leaving you with no strength to actually explore, to grow, or to create something new. The trap is not the shadow itself, but the belief that you must fight it. Think of a time you felt deeply stuck in your life. A time when you felt you were walking in circles, facing the same problems over and over again. This feeling of being stuck is often the cry of the shadow. It is a sign that the energy you need to move forward is trapped in the part of yourself you refuse to look at. The treasure you are seeking is in the cave you are most afraid to enter. This flawed solution, this building of walls, is based on a fundamental misunderstanding. You believe the dangerous person is an enemy to be vanquished. You believe the dragons on your map are real and must be slain. But what if they are not dragons at all? What if they are simply misunderstood parts of your own ecosystem? What if the goal isn't to build a fortress, but to learn how to build a boat? We see this fear in how we judge others. The parent who is terrified of being seen as a failure becomes overly critical of their child. The artist who is secretly afraid their work is meaningless becomes a bitter critic of other artists. They are trying to slay the dragons they see in others because they are too afraid to face the ones on their own map. This is the common trap, and it keeps us small, fearful, and separated from our own power. The energy of the shadow is immense. Think of all the effort it takes to hold a beach ball underwater. That is what you are doing every day with your repressed emotions and traits. The moment your attention slips, that ball erupts to the surface with chaotic force. The common trap is to keep pushing it down. The real solution is to simply let it surface, to look at it, and to learn what it is. We are afraid that if we acknowledge our anger, we will become an angry person. If we acknowledge our envy, we will become consumed by it. We fear that opening the door to the shadow will mean it takes over the whole house. But this is not what happens. Acknowledging a part of yourself does not mean you have to act on it in a destructive way. It means you bring it into the light of consciousness where you can see it, understand it, and choose how to relate to it. Trying to live a shadowless life is like trying to be a two-dimensional object in a three-dimensional world. You lack depth. You lack texture. You lack the very things that make you human and whole. The flawed solution of denial and repression ultimately leads to a life that is safe but sterile. A life without risk, but also without the possibility of profound discovery or true, resilient strength. So we arrive at a dead end. The walls are high, the energy is low, and the monsters still seem to be circling in the dark. The old strategy has failed. We are safe on our island, but we are also trapped. It is at this point of frustration, this admission of defeat, that a new path can finally reveal itself. The journey cannot continue by building higher walls. The journey must now turn outward, into the very darkness we have been trying to avoid. It is here at the edge of our known world that a guide often appears. For us, that guide is Carl Jung. He does not offer us a sword to slay the dragons. He does not give us stronger bricks to build higher walls. He offers us something far more revolutionary and far more powerful. He offers us a compass. He suggests that the way out is not to fortify, but to explore. This is the great pivot, the turning point in the journey of a lifetime. It is the moment we stop asking, how can I protect myself from the unknown? And start asking, what can I discover in the unknown? It is the realization that the map is not a warning but an invitation. This shift in perspective changes everything. It is the beginning of true courage. Jung's wisdom leads us to our central thesis, the key that unlocks the prison. It is this: the most dangerous person you'll ever meet is not an external enemy, but the unacknowledged part of yourself. True strength is found not by destroying this shadow, but by integrating it into the light of your consciousness. You cannot become whole by cutting away half of your being. To integrate means to make whole. It means taking that dangerous, exiled person from the Shadowlands and inviting them back home. It means understanding that this person is not a monster, but a collection of vital energies that you have banished. Your anger is not a monster. It is the energy for setting boundaries. Your ambition is not a monster. It is the fuel for creation. Your sadness is not a monster. It is the capacity for deep connection. So the journey begins. It starts not with a battle, but with curiosity. You stand at the edge of your island, and instead of fear, you choose to feel a sense of wonder. What is really over there? Who is this person I have kept in the dark for so long? This simple shift from fear to curiosity is the first, most crucial step. You are no longer a soldier defending a border. You are an explorer setting out on the greatest adventure of all, the discovery of your full self. This journey requires a new kind of bravery, not the bravery of fighting, but the bravery of listening. It is the courage to sit with uncomfortable feelings without immediately trying to fix them or push them away. It is the courage to admit, yes, that ugly trait I see in someone else. I recognize a piece of that in myself. This is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of profound strength and honesty. Think of your dreams. Jung believed dreams are letters from the shadow, from the unconscious. They often speak in a strange, symbolic language. The monsters that chase you in nightmares might not be threats, but representations of your own power that you are running away from. The confusing scenarios might be the shadow's way of trying to show you a piece of the puzzle you are missing in your waking life. The pivot is the choice to stop running from that beast and to turn around and face it, to ask it, what do you want? What part of me are you? What gift are you bringing me that is disguised as a threat? This is the work. It is not about intellectual understanding alone. It is about a felt experience, a dialogue with the deepest parts of your own nature. It is the transition from being a victim of your own psyche to being its partner. This does not mean you let your shadow run wild. Integrating your anger does not mean you have permission to yell at everyone. It means you acknowledge the anger as a valid signal. You bring it into the light and ask, why is this here? Is a boundary being crossed? Is there an injustice I need to address? You transform the raw, destructive energy of rage into the focused, constructive power of assertion. The dragon becomes a guardian of your boundaries. The great lie is that your shadow is your enemy. The great truth is that your shadow contains a huge portion of your strength. By exiling it, you have been living on half power. The journey of integration is the process of reclaiming your full energy. You are not just healing a wound. You are reuniting with a lost source of immense power. The dangerous person becomes your most powerful ally. This turning point is not a one-time event. It is a continuous choice. Every day, you will have the opportunity to either retreat to your small island or to bravely sail into the unknown waters of your inner world. Every time you feel a difficult emotion, you have a choice. Push it down or get curious about it. Every time you have a strong reaction to another person, you have a choice. Judge them or ask what they might be reflecting back to you. The promise of this journey is not a life without problems. It is a life of wholeness. It is the end of the civil war inside you. When you are no longer fighting yourself, you have an incredible amount of energy available to engage with the world in a real, authentic, and powerful way. You stop living as a carefully curated mask and start living as a complete human being, with all the beautiful and terrifying complexity that entails. So you have made the choice. You have picked up the compass. You have built the boat. You are ready to sail away from the shore of the known and into the misty waters of your own unconscious. You are ready to meet the most dangerous person you'll ever meet, not with a sword, but with an open hand and a curious heart. The true journey of illumination is about to begin. This journey is not about becoming a perfect person. It is about becoming a whole person. Perfection is an illusion that creates shadows. Wholeness is a reality that embraces them. The most enlightened people are not those without a shadow. They are those who have become so familiar with their shadow that they can walk with it, learn from it, and even dance with it. With the wisdom of Carl Jung as our guide and the compass of curiosity in our hand, we now begin the process of mapping this unknown land. We will not conquer it. We will not tame it. We will simply draw it. We will bring it into the light, detail by detail, until the phrase, "Here be dragons," is replaced by a new title, "Here be treasure." The first step in mapping the shadow is radical honesty. It is the simple, yet difficult act of admitting that the shadow exists within you. You must stop pretending that you are only the light, only the good, only the persona you show to the world. You must acknowledge the existence of the dark continent on your inner map. This admission alone is a profound act of courage. It is the moment the explorer first sets foot on new soil. Next, you must learn to recognize your projections. A projection is when you see a trait in someone else that you cannot see in yourself. Pay close attention to the people who trigger you the most, both positively and negatively. The qualities you despise in others are often your own disowned shadow traits. The qualities you idealize in others are often your own unlived golden potential. Both are parts of your shadow. Let's map the creature known as anger. In its shadow form, it is destructive rage. It is resentment that poisons you from within. It is the explosive outburst that damages relationships. When you deny its existence, it erupts like an uncontrollable volcano, scorching everything in its path. This is the dragon of anger that so many of us fear and repress, the force we try to lock away in the basement of our psyche. But what happens when you bring this anger into the light of consciousness? You don't act it out. You acknowledge it. You ask it why it's here. You listen. You realize the volcano is not just a destructive force, it's a source of immense energy. Integrated anger becomes the power to say no. It becomes the fuel for justice. It becomes the sharp, clean tool of setting healthy boundaries. The volcano becomes a geothermal power plant, providing sustainable energy for your entire inner world. Now let's chart the territory of fear. In the shadow, fear is crippling anxiety. It is the voice that tells you you can't. You're not good enough. Don't even try. It keeps your world small and safe. It's a cold, paralyzing fog that rolls in from the unconscious ocean, preventing you from ever leaving the familiar shores of your island. It ensures you never take a risk and therefore never truly grow or discover anything new. But when you walk into the fog with your lamp of awareness, you find fear's hidden gift. You realize that fear is simply a compass pointing toward what you most need to do. It is an indicator of where your growth lies. Integrated fear does not disappear. It becomes prudence. It becomes respect for a real challenge. It transforms into focus and preparation. The paralyzing fog thins, and you discover it was hiding a path that leads directly to the next level of your own evolution. Consider the slithering creature of envy. In the shadow, envy is a bitter poison. It makes you resent the success of others and diminishes your own accomplishments. It whispers that life is unfair and that you have been cheated. When you let envy live in the dark, it convinces you that someone else's light takes away from your own. It is a lie that breeds isolation and unhappiness, turning you into a spectator of life rather than a participant. However, if you have the courage to acknowledge your envy, you discover its secret message. Envy is a distorted form of desire. It points directly to what you value but have not yet pursued in your own life. It's a map to your own buried treasure. When integrated, envy transforms into admiration and then into inspiration. You stop resenting the person who has what you want and start asking, how can I cultivate that in my own way? The serpent leads you to a hidden mine of diamonds. And what about sadness? In our culture, sadness is often seen as a weakness to be overcome as quickly as possible. In its shadow form, it can become a swamp of despair or a chronic, low-grade apathy that drains the color from life. We are told to cheer up and look on the bright side, which only forces this vital emotion into the darkness, where it stagnates and deepens into something far more troubling. When you allow yourself to consciously feel sadness, to honor it as a valid response to loss or pain, you unlock its profound gift. Sadness is the river that carves the canyons of the soul, creating depth and capacity for empathy. Integrated sadness becomes compassion. It becomes the source of our deepest connections to others. It is what makes art moving and love meaningful. The stagnant lake begins to flow, becoming a deep, clear river that brings life to the entire continent. Even laziness, a trait we universally condemn, has a shadow and a light side. In the shadow, it is procrastination, apathy, and a wasted life. It is the refusal to take action, leaving you adrift and powerless. It is a heavy cloak that smothers your fire and your will, keeping you stuck in a state of inertia while the world moves on without you. It is the deep sleep from which you feel you cannot wake. But what if laziness is not just a vice? What if it is also a signal? When you bring awareness to your laziness, you might find it is actually exhaustion. It might be your body and psyche screaming for rest and recovery in a culture that glorifies burnout. Integrated laziness becomes the wisdom of stillness. It becomes intuition. It becomes the ability to wait for the right moment to act, rather than busying yourself with frantic, meaningless activity. This process of illumination is the core of what Jung called individuation. It is the journey of becoming an individual, meaning undivided. It is a lifelong process of exploring your inner continents, meeting the so-called dragons and discovering that they are all guardians of your own lost treasure. You are not eliminating the shadow. You are turning on the lights, room by room, in the vast house of your psyche. You will find parts of yourself you never knew existed. Perhaps you, a quiet and reserved person, will discover a repressed performer, a flamboyant and creative energy. You don't have to become a stage actor, but you can integrate that energy by allowing more playfulness and self-expression into your life. The dangerous exhibitionist in your shadow becomes a source of liberating joy. Perhaps you, a highly logical and analytical person, will discover a deep well of mystical or spiritual feeling in your shadow. You have always dismissed such things as irrational. But by exploring it, you don't abandon your logic. You enrich it. You add intuition to your intellect. You learn to read not just the data on the page, but the feeling in the air. The dangerous mystic in your shadow becomes a source of profound wisdom. This work is not always pleasant. Facing your shadow means admitting your own capacity for cruelty, for pettiness, for all the things you so easily judge in others. It requires humility. It is a deeply humbling experience to realize you are capable of the very things you have condemned. But it is this very humility that dissolves arrogance and creates the space for genuine compassion, for yourself, and for everyone else. The key is to hold the tension of the opposites. You are both light and dark. You are both kind and capable of cruelty. You are both strong and vulnerable. Wholeness is not about choosing one side and obliterating the other. It is about being spacious enough to contain both. You are the sky, which holds both the sun and the moon, the storm clouds and the clear blue. The sky does not judge the weather, it simply holds it. As you continue this journey, your map becomes more and more detailed. The land that once seemed terrifying and monstrous is revealed to be a landscape of incredible richness and diversity. It has its dangerous places, yes, but it also has its sacred groves, its powerful rivers, and its treasure-filled mountains. It is no longer the Shadowland. It is simply more of your world. Your relationship with the dangerous person begins to change. It is no longer a stranger you fear. It is becoming a familiar companion. You learn its language. You understand its needs. You can anticipate its reactions. You are no longer at its mercy because you have brought it into the field of your awareness. You have given it a name, a face, and a seat at your table. This is the alchemical process Jung described. Alchemy was not just about turning lead into gold. It was a metaphor for the transformation of the psyche. The lead is our heavy, dense, unconscious shadow material. The gold is the shining, integrated whole self. The work is to take the raw, base material of our psyche and through the fire of conscious attention, transform it into something precious. Notice how your relationships with others begin to shift. As you withdraw your projections, you start to see people more clearly for who they are, not for who you need them to be. You become less reactive, less judgmental. You can listen to criticism without crumbling, because your sense of self is no longer built on a fragile, perfect island. You are grounded in the whole continent of your being. Your creativity may unlock in surprising ways. The shadow holds our wild, untamed, chaotic creativity. The part of us that isn't afraid to be weird, to break the rules, to make a mess. When we live only on our neat, orderly island, our creativity can be sterile and predictable. By venturing into the Shadowlands, you tap into a wellspring of raw, original, and powerful creative energy. It is important to remember that this work is best done with patience and self-compassion. You have spent a lifetime building the walls around your island. They will not come down in a day. You will get scared. You will retreat. You will fall back into old patterns. That is part of the process. The goal is not perfection, but persistence. The goal is to just keep turning the lamp of your awareness toward the darkness again and again. The more you integrate, the less dangerous the shadow becomes. The energy that was once chaotic and destructive is now channeled and constructive. It's like domesticating a wild river. At first, it floods and destroys. But by understanding its nature and working with it, you can build channels, dams, and water wheels. You don't destroy the river's power, you harness it. You are doing the same with the power of your own psyche. This journey makes you more, not less, human. You will still feel anger, fear, and sadness, but you will no longer be ruled by them. You will have a relationship with them. You will understand that they are messengers, parts of your internal guidance system. You will learn to say, "Ah, hello darkness, my old friend. What have you come to teach me today?" This is the beginning of true inner freedom. You will find that the people who live only on their perfect little islands will start to seem fragile to you. You will see their high walls and their fear of the ocean, and you will feel compassion, not judgment. You will recognize their projections for what they are. You will see them fighting a war against themselves, and you will understand the profound exhaustion of that battle because you, too, were once a soldier in it. The world needs whole people right now. Not perfect people, not people who deny their darkness, but people who have had the courage to explore their own inner depths, who have made peace with their own complexity. These are the people who can hold opposing viewpoints without collapsing. These are the people who can lead with humility. These are the people who are not easily manipulated by fear, because they have already faced the greatest fear within themselves. So look at your own life. Where do you feel the most resistance? Where do you feel the most stuck? What conversations are you avoiding? What dreams are you dismissing? What part of your own story are you refusing to write? This is the starting point. This is where your shadow is calling to you, inviting you on the journey. It is showing you the next X that marks the spot on your inner map. Remember, the goal is not to arrive at a final destination where the entire map is filled in. The unconscious is infinite. The journey of individuation is lifelong. The goal is to become a master cartographer of your own soul, to delight in the process of discovery, to find joy in the constant unfolding of who you are, in all your light and all your shadow. The journey itself is the destination. Your shadow contains not just your negative traits, but also your golden shadow. This is your unlived potential, your brilliance that you were afraid to shine, your deep wisdom you dismissed as strange, your profound love you were too scared to express. Integrating the shadow also means claiming this gold. It means having the courage to be as brilliant and powerful as you truly are. This is a quiet, internal revolution. It does not require anyone else's permission or approval. It is your work to do. It is the most personal and the most profound undertaking of a human life. To stop fighting the most dangerous person you'll ever meet, and to instead turn to them, extend a hand, and begin the long, slow, beautiful process of coming home to yourself. When you do this work, you develop what can be called a negative capability, the ability to exist in uncertainty, mystery, and doubt without any irritable reaching after fact and reason. You become comfortable with not knowing. You no longer need the world to be simple and black and white, because you have embraced the gray, complex, and paradoxical nature of your own being. This is a rare and powerful form of wisdom. The ultimate gift of this journey is authenticity. You stop performing. You stop trying to be who you think you should be, and you simply start being who you are. This authenticity is magnetic. People are drawn to it because it is real. It gives others permission to be real too. By healing yourself, you become a source of healing for the world around you, often without saying a word. Your life gains a new sense of depth and meaning. The highs are sweeter because they are balanced by the lows. The light is more beautiful because you understand the darkness it comes from. You are no longer living on the surface of life, but are deeply rooted in the rich, complex soil of your whole humanity. You have traded the fragile safety of the island for the resilient strength of the entire continent. The illumination is complete, not because the work is finished, but because the path is now clear. You have the map. You have the compass. You have the courage. You understand that the most dangerous person you will ever meet is not a threat to be eliminated, but a partner to be embraced. They are the keeper of the other half of your soul. And so we arrive at the great synthesis, the aha moment. We began on a small, protected island, terrified of the vast, dark ocean and the monstrous continent that lay hidden within it. We saw the dangerous person as an enemy, a force of sabotage and chaos that we had to wall ourselves off from. We lived in a state of civil war, ego against shadow, light against dark. We tried the common solution. We built our walls higher. We polished our mask. We denied and repressed. We projected our inner darkness onto the world, creating enemies everywhere. But this only left us more isolated, more anxious, and more fragile. We were kings of a tiny, barren kingdom, exhausted from a battle we could never win because we were fighting against our own strength. Then came the pivot. The wisdom of Jung gave us not a sword, but a compass and a boat. It gave us a new, revolutionary thesis. The shadow is not your enemy, it is your unlived potential. The goal is not to conquer it, but to integrate it, to make it conscious, to bring it home. This was the moment we turned from soldier to explorer. Through the patient, courageous work of illumination, we mapped the unknown land. We faced the dragons of anger, fear, and envy, and we discovered they were not monsters at all. They were guardians of our deepest resources. Anger became healthy boundaries. Fear became prudence. Envy became the map to our own ambition. We were not destroying dragons, we were liberating vast reserves of our own energy. Now look, the map is whole. The two continents are no longer separated by a stormy sea. They are connected. Bridges have been built. Trade routes have been established. The raw, powerful energy of the once dark continent now flows freely, powering and enriching the once sterile island of the ego. The two have become one world, a balanced ecosystem of consciousness. The most dangerous person you'll ever meet was just you waiting to be seen. It was your own power, your own depth, your own wholeness, knocking on the door of your consciousness, asking to be let in. The danger was never in the shadow itself. The danger was in keeping that door locked. By opening it, you did not unleash a monster. You initiated a homecoming. You are no longer just the small island. You are the entire, complete world. You have depth. You have resilience. You have access to all of your resources, both light and dark. You are no longer a fragile thing, easily broken. You are a vast, dynamic, and integrated being. You have the stability of the mountains and the flow of the rivers. You have the fire of the volcano and the stillness of the deep forest. This is the end of self-sabotage. This is the end of projection. This is the end of the exhausting, pointless inner war. You have faced the most dangerous person, and by embracing them, you have discovered they were actually your greatest ally, your wisest guide, and the source of your most profound strength. You have, in the deepest sense of the word, become yourself. This wholeness is true power. It is not the power to dominate others, but the power to be fully and authentically yourself. It is a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from deep self-knowledge and self-acceptance. You are no longer afraid of the dark, inside or out, because you carry your own integrated light. The most dangerous person has become the safest harbor. So the thesis is now felt, not just understood. The most dangerous person you will ever meet is the part of you that you refuse to know. And the greatest adventure of your life is the journey to sit down with that person, to listen to their story, and to welcome them home. For in their hands, they hold the other half of your soul and the key to your undivided self. This journey of the map is not just a metaphor. It is the real, living architecture of your inner life. The story we have told is your story. The dark continent is not a fantasy. It is a real place inside of you, right now, waiting to be explored. The resources we described, the energy, the creativity, the boundaries, are your resources, waiting to be claimed. So we leave the world of metaphor and we land squarely in your reality. The question is no longer about a map. It is about your life. It is not about a boat. It is about your choices. This wisdom is useless if it remains a beautiful idea. Its only value is in its application. It must be lived, breathed, and practiced in the quiet moments of your day. Forget a long list of things to do. The integration of a lifetime begins with a single, transformative question. A question to carry with you not as a problem to be solved, but as a compass to be held. It is a question that can gently guide your attention back to the work of wholeness whenever you feel lost, reactive, or stuck. The question is this: what am I unwilling to feel right now? In moments of anger, anxiety, or judgment, pause and ask this. What is the emotion underneath the story you are telling yourself? What part of your own shadow is knocking on the door? Don't rush to answer. Just hold the question. Let it create a space between the stimulus and your reaction. In that space lies your freedom and your power. When you find yourself harshly judging someone, ask, what aspect of my own shadow does this person reflect? This isn't about excusing their behavior. It's about using the moment as an opportunity to learn about yourself. It transforms a moment of judgment into a moment of self-discovery. It is the practical, everyday work of withdrawing your projections and reclaiming your own psychic material. When you feel creatively blocked or stuck in life, ask, what part of my untamed self have I silenced? Is it your playfulness, your righteous anger, your unapologetic ambition, Your stuckness is often a sign that a vital part of your shadow has been locked away, and it holds the very energy you need to move forward. The question is the key to that locked room. This practice will slowly change your center of gravity. You will begin to live less in the fragile, reactive ego, the small island, and more in the calm, observant self, the witness that can hold both light and dark. You become the cartographer, not the scared villager. You are the one holding the lamp, not the one cowering from the shadows it creates. Do not expect this to be easy. It is the work of a hero, and the hero's journey is never a straight line. There will be setbacks. There will be resistance. Your ego will fight to maintain its control and its familiar story. Be kind to yourself in those moments. The goal is not to be a perfect practitioner of shadow work. The goal is to be a willing one. Your inner world is the only place you will live for your entire life. Doesn't it make sense to make it a place of peace rather than a place of war? Doesn't it make sense to know its territory, to be familiar with its inhabitants, to be able to use all of its resources? This is not selfish work. It is the greatest gift you can give to yourself, and therefore to everyone you interact with. So carry that one question with you. Let it be your guide in the dark. Let it be the tool that slowly, gently, and lovingly integrates the most dangerous person you'll ever meet back into the wholeness of your own heart. What am I unwilling to feel right now? The answer, when you are brave enough to listen, will always point the way home. The journey to wholeness does not end with a final victory. It is a way of being. It is a commitment to curiosity over certainty, to compassion over judgment, and to courage over comfort. You have not slain the dragon. You have learned to fly with it. You have not banished the darkness. You have found the stars that shine within it. The most dangerous person you'll ever meet is now your wisest counselor and your deepest source of strength. They are no longer a separate entity, but the very depth that gives your life meaning and texture. They are the bass note that makes the melody of your life rich and resonant. You are finally and completely a symphony in a single body. You no longer need a map, for you have become the territory. You no longer need a compass, for you have found the true north within your own integrated heart. The fear of the unknown has been replaced by a quiet trust in your ability to meet whatever arises, inside or out, with awareness and with grace. Live from this place of wholeness, act from this place, create from this place, love from this place. The world does not need more perfect masks. It needs more authentic, courageous souls who have done the brave work of making peace with themselves. This is how you change the world, not by fighting its darkness, but by integrating your own. The most dangerous person is the one you do not know. The most powerful person is the one you have fully embraced. The choice between these two is the defining choice of your life. Choose bravely, choose curiosity, choose wholeness, and watch as the world within you, and therefore the world around you, transforms. We hope this exploration has served you.